breaking down Liberty sports. This is the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night. We're going to switch gears back to baseball. I think this is the first time we've had you guys on this spring, isn't it?
It is.
Baseball had them on maybe in the off season once. We were talking Liberty baseball. The Patriots are having a great season, which is not a surprise to anybody. And I think we were just talking about the math, the equations. They're in very good shape. They've clinched the playoff spot. Go into this week where if they can take care of business, and that's going to be tricky, especially Tuesday night, they will tie for at least a tie, or clinch at least a tie for a district championship, and then can win it outright, which would be 2 in a row. You guys have lost one district game in 2 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, don't remind us.
I'm throwing all of the bad mojo out there. And there's a reason. It's because these guys are really good. And two of the times I've seen you these last few years, Coach Lamar Kello is on the end. I'm going to have him introduce these guys in a second. I don't know if I brought the bad mojo, but you guys won the games, but they were just kind of crazy, wild games. And each time I talk to you afterwards, you're like, yeah, you got to have games like this once in a while. And then I watch your scores after that. You guys just mud stomp people. So maybe I'm delivering that for you.
I don't know. We did have, last year was a unique year because it seemed like we played everybody 3 times, and sometimes we'd run rule them, and sometimes we would battle and back and forth and go to extra innings. And, it was a very unusual back and forth kind of deal, but at least we were finding ways to win every time. I
have a hunch you guys bring the best out in people, for one thing. That's just what's going to happen. Introduce your 2 guys here.
All right, so this is Will Hutson. Plays left field, bats anywhere I ask him to. Right now, second, but done a lot of first also. And then Jackson Gonzales plays catcher, bats second or third.
And who's caught probably all but maybe 3 or 4 games in the last 3 years.
Yeah, well, anytime we are in tournaments and play 2 games in a day, I don't have him catch both games. So, I mean, he's had those off. But that's the only time he's ever had off is his tournament days when we had 2 games, yeah.
I bet he wouldn't have to twist your arm to catch both of them, would he, Jackson?
No.
I have a feeling that you don't mind being back there. These 2 guys the core of your team has been there, a lot of them, since day one. And that's one reason you've been as good as you have been. When we first met, started talking to these guys 2 years ago, you knew that eventually this was going to be a group of guys that was really good. It probably happened a little quicker than a lot of people thought, but into year 3, how good is this group? I know coaches don't always like to talk about how good their guys are, but this group is pretty special.
Yeah, we do have several good players. We got a lot of depth. I mean, and we got plenty of guys. I mean, when we played in tournaments, I would kind of let no one started every game in a tournament, and we would still be able to put a good team on the field because we did have a lot of depth. But that first year, yeah, I mean, it was 3A, but we played real well, and went a few rounds deep in the playoffs, and maybe surprised some people, but they were quality kids, and and they've continued to grow as players and mature as players, and it's just multiple batting averages that are up in the 400 area, and just kids that are just getting a little bit better each year.
Jackson, when we talked the other day, I think I asked you a question like that about how different you guys are now. Your chance to tell more people than were listening that day. How different is this team from 2 years ago?
Yeah, I just think we've grown up a little bit. We've matured. We've definitely all gotten bigger into our bodies, and I just feel like this year it can definitely tell on the scoreboard and then also on the field, just how we look. Just like whenever teams come play us and whenever we go out there, we look like an actual varsity squad. Unless 2 years ago when you look back at the photos, you're like, wow, this was me 2 years ago. But yeah, definitely.
I showed you the photo the one of Luke Livingston where he had the baby face and
yeah.
Now Will still looks pretty young.
Will hasn't changed since 6th grade. Just got taller.
You have been around though. You've been a big part of the success. Same thing for you. How different is this team from when you guys were freshmen and sophomores and just shocking people to now where you have to play well because they're going to come and want to beat you?
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, whenever we first came over to Liberty, I mean, we knew we were going to be good, but we were also just sophomores. So, like, whenever I look back at a sophomore now, I'm like, wow, that was us whenever we first came over. But it's just really cool to see, just like Gonzo was saying, like how much bigger we've gotten and stronger just from the weight room and football and everything. And, yeah, it's just really cool that we get to see that transformation. And now we have, like, that standard that we know we have to play to win all of our district games and go deep in the playoffs. You
guys have had a really unique journey, too. You mentioned football. That first year you were really good in baseball after a football season that wasn't a varsity season. A lot of you guys went into football, didn't have a great varsity season that first year, came back, were mad, had a really good baseball season. Great football season this last fall. Now that last chapter's there to be written, so I think it's been really cool to watch what you guys have done. 20-8, 8-0 in district. They're at Memorial Tuesday. Tomorrow, I believe, is on 97.7. I'll have to find it here in the break. It'll be maybe on 2 stations here on Raymore Networks. I think it's going to be a crowded press box there at Memorial tomorrow. Memorial, I'll say it, the Panthers are the second best team in the district. I told this to Lamar the other day. They very much remind me of Liberty's first year because they've got dudes who have played together and know how to play the game. So this is a good test for the Patriots. They finish up on the road at Snyder. You guys in Memorial are kind of separated. You're playing for kind of those 2 spots, and everybody else is in that dogfight for 3rd and 4th. We talked about one of the game I covered that got kind of hairy there at the end was against Memorial, Lamar. That was one that I think you thought your guys might benefit from the way it played out. Have you seen that the last couple of weeks?
Well, that particular game, we jumped out, to a lead, and then, those guys, man, they just fought back over there. It wouldn't have surprised me if some young kids would have, kind of checked it in, backed off a little bit, but they did. They fought, and ever since then, we have been able to, kind of take care of business, and hopefully that was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call to make sure that, up by 4 or 5 is not, the end game. The end game is the when the last out's made, are we up then? And we have been able to shut the door pretty good on some people lately.
That game is 7 p.m. I'll find it here in the break and see which stations it's on. And then, like I said, at Snyder. Is that the last regular season game? No, you got one more. Two more. We have 4 left. We'll come back after the break and talk more Liberty Patriot baseball on the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Liberty Athletics. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone. I've figured out the math here. The game tomorrow is both on 100.7 The Score with Branson Nash calling it, and on Sunny 97.7 with Clint Scott. I think Clint works alone. Branson's color man is Coach Rogers. You guys started out at Lubbock Cooper their first year. Coach Rogers was there with Coach Bridget Rogers and her husband, who's a former baseball guy, so he knows his stuff. It's been fun to watch him listen to him do color, because he played at Coronado for John Dudley, he played for Gary Hicks and maybe Jimmy Webster. So he's been around some stuff, so he knows how to apply that to what you guys are doing. So enjoy what you have, because that's not always the case. So
he was our coach in 8th grade.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. And Coach McMackin's been involved with you guys at some level as well. Yeah. All right. It's a small baseball world, Lamar. I think you probably realized that since you've been here, that Lubbock's smallest or biggest small town in the world.
Yeah, I was new to Lubbock whenever I came here when the school started, but there's all kinds of different coaches and people that so many of our players go see. A lot of common people involved in all these baseball lives.
I want these two guys to talk about your first-year assistant coach, correct?
Yes.
He's a pitching coach. I assume he's a pitching coach since he was a Big 12 pitcher. You guys talk. Throw his name out there.
Coach Musgrave?
Yes. How different has he been for you guys this year?
He's definitely different, but he's great. He has a bunch of tips for the pitchers. he's a lot quieter than most of the coaches we've had, but he definitely makes us like stay on task, keeps us what we're supposed to be doing, and yeah, he's just been great to have around, just with all of our pitchers helping out with that. Gonza might know more about that because he's a catcher.
You probably have to deal with him at a certain level.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good to have another baseball mind, somebody who's played the game at a real high level and a lot of knowledge about what to do, and just also somebody with a much different personality than teenage guys. So just having somebody that can keep us on task and just tell us and like get us in a groove and like just tell us what to do, and also just like being someone that you can go to for knowledge as long as Coach Kello, just like somebody else that you can talk to baseball about, and he knows a lot about the game, so that's really good to have.
You pitched at West Virginia. Mm-hmm. He was the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year.
He was in 2014.
So not that long ago. So I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit here and tell a story on Coach Kello. This is not baseball related. So the first time I covered a Liberty football game in the new stadium, I was sitting right next to the press box. And Coach was next to one of the younger coaches, and you guys had the ball. This was your first varsity season. Late in the first half, the younger coach was like, "No, we got to go. We got to throw the ball here." And Coach Kello just calmly said, "No, let's just go to halftime." And the young guy didn't like it too much. It was fun to watch the interaction there because you coach a while, Lamar, and you know there's certain things you do in certain sports where take it to halftime and good to go. Baseball, you don't have to worry about halftime, but has it been good for you to have a guy different than, like they said, different than you personality-wise to kind of add some juice to the mix?
Yeah, it's great, and it is funny. We're very contrasting. He's very quiet, very to himself, and almost at times you feel like he's not even involved, but because he doesn't get out there and in front of the whole group, this, that, whatever. But, you know, we gather up after a game, after a practice, in between innings or whatever, and you'll see him, he'll catch people one-on-one and have these little side conversations all throughout practice, all throughout the game, all throughout, you know, anything. While we're shagging balls in the outfield, he's just having these little one-on-one conversations, and that's where he uses those times to just talk knowledge, and I think he's helped a lot with the mental aspect of the game for a lot of these guys. I mean, when you play at a high level, it gives you, you've got to have that mental edge if you're going to compete with those people, and I think he's been able to help them think the game a lot.
Because I undersold him a little bit. He pitched in the Big 12, but he also pitched in the big leagues.
He pitched for the Rockies.
Yeah, he's for you young guys. That's, to me, I know when I was younger, if you met a guy that had been to that level and you're a baseball guy, that gets your attention.
Yeah. For sure.
It's family radio. What's the best story you can repeat that he told you?
I mean, I don't know much about like stories that he's told me, but I know stuff that's happened between our team that's been pretty funny with him, involving him and another player on our team. Just the bickering that goes on, just some of the things that have been said. That's probably the memories that.
We also have his baseball card in our locker room.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, somebody found his baseball card online and purchased it. He does not like to talk about it. He doesn't tell anybody. You have to beg him to tell a story from his time in the big leagues.
When we get to the break here, I have a guess who it might be. So we got one more segment. We're going to talk more Liberty Patriot baseball. We're going to try to focus on what's ahead for them this week when we come back on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Liberty Athletics. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone. We're talking Liberty baseball. Big night for them and big night for Memorial tomorrow. Bigger probably for Memorial because Liberty's in very good shape. They're playoff bound. They're in the driver's seat, which they're very comfortable and used to being there. That game is at 7 p.m. I'm trying to think I think they just call it Panther Field. Clint tried to give it a nickname, something about the railroad tracks nearby. I'm not smart. I'm just a writer. I'm not a radio guy, so I don't come up with clever things like that. It is on 100.7 The Score and 97.7, Sunny 97.7. You guys have been in games that mean a little bit more the last couple of years, but does this one feel like that, or do you guys just go out there and kind of do your thing and make it the status quo?
I mean, we know that they're the second-place team in our district right now, but we also know that every game is the same, and we just need to go out there and just play our game, play how we're supposed to, play how we're taught, just every game. And, yeah, I mean, they're a good team, but if we just go out there and do what we're used to, then we should have no problem.
So Jackson coach said he was talking about what happened against Shallowater a few years ago. You beat him and then probably should have beaten him twice. Memorial's going to be thinking similar. They're probably going to feel like they could have beaten you the last time you played. Do you factor that in, or is that just a distant memory?
Not really. I mean, I don't really think back to what's happened. I mean, it's good to have experience, but you really just got to go out there and once the game starts, just play ball. Just do what you've been taught to do. Just play the game that we've all played since we were little, and just go have fun and just go try your best and play your hardest, because at that point, it's just whatever you put on the field and all the effort, and then the talent will just speak for itself at the end of the game. So,
Lamar, I remember we talked afterwards. You're going to get, when Castler starts, you're going to get 5, 6, 7 good innings. At that point, I think you told me we still got to figure out some things pitching-wise. The last couple of weeks, have you gotten some of those answers?
Well, Jaden Edens has been, pretty consistent throughout the year. He actually has our lowest ERA right now. Cooper Pierce has been really good out of the bullpen, with an inning or two late in games, and he's done some good things for us. And then some of the other guys, with Maddox and with Purdy and Harrison, it's like sometimes they'll go out there and they look really solid for us, and then other times they're not quite as good, and we just need a little more consistency from them. But man, it's there. They've all shown the signs of it. But we have had a few different people that have been able to step up for us in situations that were needed.
And I think Jaden's a cool story, because if I remember last year, the kind of the wild and woolly game against Estacado that I covered, I think he had just started throwing a little bit more, and I think he shut that game down. And he talked afterwards about how he was starting to gain confidence. Now you're talking about him being a primary guy.
Yeah, he is a really good story. I mean, his sophomore year, he pitched one time in a scrimmage, and it did not go good, and that was it for the season. Never went out there again. And then last year, we put him out there in a scrimmage, and he had a good summer throwing, and put him out there in a scrimmage. It looked good, and it just built up all year long. And by the end of the year, he had been taking care of us in the 6th and 7th inning several different times. Came up big for us, and this year he's been starting games for us and been doing a great job.
So as a catcher, do you feel a little bit like a proud papa when pitchers make that? You haven't had to do it with Castler. Castler showed up. He probably rolled out of bed when he was about 6 years old, being able to throw that way. But when those other pitchers kind of develop and go, I know when I was a catcher, I always kind of, you don't want to take credit for it, but you take a little pride in them getting better.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool to see guys just produce what they've done and come from where they started and just really work on their craft and just get better, because then it gives the team more confidence, just knowing that we have more and more guys that are throwing well, hitting spots, getting quick outs, which with our team, it might not be a lot of strikeouts, a lot of overpowering stuff, but we're gonna find ways to get outs. We're gonna hopefully throw strikes, and we're gonna find ways to get off the field with no runs, and then our bats will speak for itself. So
I was gonna say, Will, you can answer this last one. You guys, it's nice to not give up many runs, but you guys do a lot with your bats, and you. I don't know that I've seen a deeper team offensively, because the other day you got Gavin McPherson batting 9th. Levi Walker batting 8th. There's a lot of teams that would take those two and put them right at the top of the lineup. So you guys can do some things offensively.
Yes, sir. We just go from that great pitching and take it to the other side, and all 9 of our guys and more, the people that are on the bench, can all just hit very good. And so it's just really nice to just have that top to bottom lineup that you can just count on every person to just have good at bats, and just a team like that is pretty hard to beat. So we're glad that we have that this year.
The Patriots are a team that's hard to beat. 2 games coming up this week, 2 next week, and then the playoffs. We'll have them on again when we get further down the road. That's going to wrap us up on the High School Fan Zone. We'll be back Wednesday night. I'm Randy Rosetta. This 100.7 The Score.